It's 2019 and Americans are more burdened by student loan debt than ever. Here's a scary statistic. According to Student Loan Hero, Americans owe over $1.56 trillion in student loan debt, spread out among 45 million borrowers. This is about $521 billion more than the total U.S. credit card debt alone. For a better reference, here is a chart. This chart is showing loan debt compared to other non-housing debt. It ranges from 2004 to 2018. In blue at the bottom, you'll see auto loans. Above that in light blue, credit cards. Above that in gray, other. And above that in orange, you'll see student loans, which are the highest. The student loans go all the way up to $4 trillion. Let's say you are 18 or 19 years old and have just graduated high school. You are living on your own for the first time and have plans to further your education and pursue a college degree. Your parents, who are very supportive of your goals, can no longer financially support you in your young adult years, nor are they claiming you on their taxes anymore. You yourself cannot pull together these type of funds with your minimum wage job. You start the financial aid process to see what you qualify for. But you do not qualify for any grants and are only approved for unsubsidized loans that will cover a portion of your tuition. Why is this so, and what are your next options? Does all of this together have you considered an independent student according to FAFSA? The short answer to be considered an independent student under these circumstances, unfortunately, is no. Regardless of what your situation may be, the financial aid process does not take into account if your parents will actually be contributing to your college education or not. Many first-time college students are unable to obtain substantial funds for school due to their parents' income because FAFSA requires report on your parents' financial status regardless of their contributions to your education. The financial aid process is a very unjust system that has left many students in lifelong debt and or unable to attend college at all. This process has negatively affected most of us at some point as a student. I personally still fall under this category of being considered a dependent student. I'm 22 years old and have lived on my own, supported myself financially, and filed my own taxes since the age of 18. I have not been supported financially by my parents since becoming an adult. My parents are divorced and my mother has been remarried. At 18, I was unable to use my father's low income on my FAFSA because I did not live with him the majority of my childhood. My mother was also in college during this time, so you would think her low income and student status would benefit my aid, but I was also required to use my stepfather's income. My stepfather's income alone was too high for me to qualify for any grants or subsidized loans. As a result, my only options have been to take out unsubsidized and private loans. Today I will cover the following financial aid topics: FAFSA's requirements, loans, and debt. Let's begin with my first point: FAFSA considerations and requirements. FAFSA considers each student as either an independent or dependent student. Your dependency status then determines whose information you must report on your application. Undergraduate students who are under the age of 24 as of December 31st of that awarding year are considered to be dependent students for federal student aid purposes. As a dependent student, you are required to report your parents' information. If you are under the age of 24 and are married, have dependents other than a spouse, are an orphan, a veteran, or an active duty member, then you are considered an independent student. You are also considered an independent student after the age of 24. As an independent student, you will report your information and your spouse's if married. Once you have been deemed a dependent student, according to FAFSA, FAFSA then uses your parents' information to determine your estimated family contribution. From there, they also decide what type of government funding is needed. The EFC, or estimated family contribution, is calculated according to a formula established by law. Your family's taxes and untaxed income, assets, and benefits such as unemployment or Social Security all could be considered in this formula. Also considered are your family size and number of family members who will attend college or a career school during the year. According to FAFSA's frequently asked questions, one question states, "What if my parents aren't going to help me pay for college and refuse to provide information for my FAFSA form?" FAFSA's response, "You can't be considered independent of your parents just because they refuse to help you with this process. If you do not provide their information on the FAFSA form, the application will be considered rejected, and you might not be able to receive any federal student aid at all." Now that we've discussed FAFSA's requirements and considerations, let's move on to federal loans and private loans. Based off of your financial need, according to FAFSA, they will determine whether you qualify for a subsidized or unsubsidized loan. In general, you would want to qualify for a direct subsidized loan because they have slightly better terms. But if you are considered a dependent student and your parents' estimated family contribution is too high due to their income, you will likely qualify for an unsubsidized loan. A direct subsidized loan is available to undergraduate students with financial need. The school then determines the amount you can borrow, which may not exceed financial need. The U.S. Department of Education then pays the interest of that loan while you are in school, 6 months after leaving, and during any deferment periods. A direct unsubsidized loan are available to both graduate and undergraduate students and have no requirements to demonstrate financial need. The school determines the amount you can borrow based off of the cost of attendance and other financial aid you have received. With an unsubsidized loan, you are responsible for paying the interest during all periods. When a student only qualifies for an unsubsidized loan and that loan will not cover the total cost of tuition, books, fees, room and board, they may have to turn to an additional private loan. Interest rates on private loans typically range from 5% to 36%. These higher interest rates can add thousands of dollars to your initial loan by the time you start making these payments. Requirements for receiving a private loan include either the student meets their credit or income criteria, or you have a credit-worthy cosigner. Most of the time, students have not yet built up a credit history and do not meet income requirements, leaving them with finding a cosigner as their only option. Now that the different loan options have been covered, we can discuss how this process has left many students in tremendous debt and has left others fearful to even pursue an education. As addressed earlier, student debt is higher than ever, and these numbers are continuing to skyrocket. According to the U.S. News article, it takes an average of 21 years for a borrower to pay off their student loans. The average student leaves college with about $25,000 in debt. The monthly payments on $25,000 is about $280 a month. Although this payment is assuming you have a 6.8% interest rate and a 10-year repayment plan, which is not the case for everyone. For a better reference, this chart is showing student loan borrowers' balance. It ranges from less than $5,000 to greater than $200,000, with the highest amount borrowed being between $10,000 and $50,000. I believe that this process has left many fearful and unable to seek a higher education or has resulted in students dropping out. According to the Washington Post, fewer than 40% of students enrolled in a four-year college actually graduate, and more than half of those who enroll in community college drop out within 6 years. I realize these dropout rates could be for a variety of reasons, but I believe the majority of them likely have to do with the lack of financial support. I also believe this is why many students decide to never attend college and chose a different path for their lives. Most people are fearful of debt and unable to pay for a higher education out of their own pocket. Again, the financial aid process has left many first-time college students unable to receive adequate fundings for school due to requirements forcing students to put their parents' information on their application. FAFSA does not take into consideration whether or not your parents will actually be supporting you through college. My solution to this process is to have every student's individual situation considered and used to determine what financial assistance is needed. I realize that this could make for a long, drawn-out process, but this would be the only way to create a form of equality or fairness. I am not saying that anyone should receive a full ride because their parents cannot financially support them, but if you are able to prove you are financially supporting yourself with very little income, then an adequate loan should be applied accordingly. This process can be supported by providing your bank statements and tax documents. The FAFSA application process is an unjust system, leaving those of us who are already financially unstable at a loss for receiving adequate funding for an education.